I think you
sent me to jail. That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. I needed it.
What's your name?
Lamar Gaskins.
Okay. Yeah, nice to see you.
We met sometime after.
Okay.
I told you my story.
So. Yeah. You look good, man.
Boom. But that's okay.
give him a little, while he's here, I need you to stand over because you're on camera.
Oh.
Give him a little bit of your story.
I want to hear about it.
So just telling you and
No, you tell him come over here. This little way so I can. You're telling them, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
my name is Lamar Gaskins. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I was here in Springfield at one time selling drugs. So eventually, I was selling drugs. Police arrested me. And eventually, I went before this man right here, Judge Rastatter, and he gave me 5 years. 5 years in prison. And let me see. At that time,
who gave you 5 years in prison?
Judge Rastatter.
Okay.
But at that time, I was already doing like a year. I was doing a year for something else. So I went before him, and he gave me 5 years additional because of what I did. It wasn't his fault, it was my fault. He had nothing to do with it, it was all me.
Took responsibility.
Yeah, it was all me. It's because of what I did on the streets. And then even while I was in prison, God saved my life. And that's why I'm here. That's why I got a job. That's why I'm in my right mind. I got that right headspace. So yeah, SBG Motorsport.
What do you do there?
I sell cars.
No, but what is your position?
I used to sell cars, like be a car salesperson, car sales consultant, and now I'm a salesman. So I moved up in the world. I thank God for that as well. But I went from selling drugs to selling cars. So that was pretty much my talent, being a salesperson. But I just did it wrong, and now I'm doing it right.
Can I ask you a question? I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
So would you say that he benefited you in any way?
For sure. Oh yeah. God used it.
So you guys see this, right? It's the same relationship between us and Christ. We don't have to sin, by the way. We don't have to sin. We can choose not to sin. Just like he chooses now not to do crime. Because if he does crime and he's got to go before him again, the judge can correct me if I'm wrong. But it could be a little more...
It could be worse, for sure.
It could be, right? But there's two guys sitting here, standing before us. One's the authority figure, one was a criminal, right?
Oh yeah.
But you can see what God has done. He can stand before him and actually now thank him. Pay attention. He can thank him now for what he did. At the time, I'm sure it felt kind of like, man, he just gave me another 5 years. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They gave me 5 years, and all the judges are pretty much evil. There's no good judge in a lot of people's eyes. Like all judges, or all judges, everybody's bad. So when he gave me those 5 years, that's what I was thinking. Oh man, you judge, in my mind. I don't think I expressed it verbally, but in my mind I was like, oh judges. But after a while, that's exactly what I needed. But I was a hard-headed individual. I hope that doesn't happen to y'all. I pray and hope that doesn't happen to y'all. And that's what y'all need. And I know that's what I need.
Can I just say this? I mean,
Like they're taking responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, you just stepped in and are like a picture of what we've been talking about.
Yep.
Okay? Remember what I said? When you exalt yourself, God's going to humble you. But when you humble yourself, he's going to exalt you. This young man is being exalted. Look at where he is now. He's got a good job. He looks happy. He knows God saves him. So he's got Jesus Christ in his heart. I mean, think about that, and listen to how he takes responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
He could blame me. He could blame the police. But he doesn't. He's taking responsibility for what he did. But you know what? Here's the cool thing. It's kind of like with, we do bad things, and God has to discipline us sometimes. But he loves us. He disciplines us because he loves us. If he lets us keep going down a road, he knows we're gonna self-destruct. So he disciplines us to bring us back, and that's what he did. But here's the cool thing: God loves you. He loves you. He's just correcting your behavior. I can say, I remember your name. I don't really remember your face from court, but I can say this, I'm so proud of you, and I love you. I'm proud of you, man. I really am. I really am. I'm proud of you, and it's not a personal thing. I didn't think this is a horrible guy. It was his behavior that needed to be corrected, and he's done that. So now God's lifted him up.
So when you get stories like this, and you just answered it actually, how does that make you feel? Is it rewarding?
It's tremendously rewarding. It really is. It makes me want to cry. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy that you found Jesus. This guy, I'm really happy. And I'm proud of him.
Yep.
And you know what? He was doing things he shouldn't do, but you know what? I do things I shouldn't do, and I need Jesus Christ just as much as he did. Okay? It just so happened the things he did that he shouldn't have done was against the law. I've done things against God's law. I've had to confess and repent.
Did you enjoy prison?
No, sir. No.
So before you went to prison, the stuff you were doing when you were out here on the corner on the south end of
I
town,
enjoyed it.
did you know that you were doing wrong?
Yeah, actually I did. And I actually got this tattoo right here. It says, "Father, forgive me." And I got this right before I got locked up. My dad passed away when I was 12, 13, somewhere around there. It was just a major hurt. Didn't realize how much it hurt me until later on, but it was a major hurt. And so I knew that I was doing wrong. And so I got this tattoo in remembrance of him. I know I'm doing wrong. So if he was here, I know he wouldn't like this. So this is why I got this tattoo. I said, "Father, forgive me," because I was just doing so much wrong out there, and I know he wouldn't have liked that if he was out here. So that's why I got this. So yeah, I knew I was doing wrong, and this proves it. I knew it. I knew I was doing wrong.
So when you went before Judge Rastatter, you already knew you were wrong. Did you make excuses to him when you were in his courtroom?
I did not. I wrote a letter. It was probably about 5 pages, 5-page letter, trying to get out of the situation I put myself in. And so I gave him a letter. I was like, man, I hope he gives me favor because of the letter. But he didn't. Maybe that was favor. The 5 years, maybe that was favor, But I was hoping he's going to give me favor because of that letter. But no, after he gave me the 5 years, it's like that old saying, you do the crime, you got to do the time. And so I just figured that I did the crime, so it was for me to do the time.
The fact that he asked God to forgive him, when God looks at him, he sees a perfect young man. He knows he's done things wrong, but he's forgiven and he gets a clean slate. He gets a start over, a do-over. And so God sees him and he doesn't see what he did in the past. He's only looking at him now. And that's what, if you take responsibility and you ask for God to forgive you, he'll do that. He'll do that.
Yeah, he did that, man.
I really am proud of you, man. I really am. This is what I love about my job is people like you that I can see where you've been and where you've come and where you are now. And if it means anything to you, just again, I'm just a judge here on earth. God's the judge. He's the real judge. But if it means anything to you to hear a judge say he's proud of you, man, I really am.
Yes, that does mean a whole lot.
And I can just tell
He's a
feel
good
the
one.
Holy Spirit
Yeah.
in you.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't.
He's done a number on me,
Yeah.
that's for sure. He's done, and it took a lot of suffering, but I needed it. And I didn't realize till after the fact, but he did a number on me, and I needed every day.
But you know, we all need God to do a number on us. We all do, because we do bad stuff. We mess up. But like Brother Bruce said, we can choose not to. But if we fail and we mess up, we ask God to forgive us. He wants us to come to Him and ask for forgiveness, because He wants to forgive us. He wants us to. He wants to have this. He wants to have this experience with us when we stand before Him. He wants to be able to look at us and say, "I'm so proud of you. You went down some wrong roads, but look where you are now." Yeah.
How often do you get, and I don't mean to commandeer you all's interaction, how often do you get, for lack of a better term, someone that you sent away, how often do they come back and actually thank you?
It's not too often. It's not too often, but it has happened a handful of times, and I wish it would happen more often. But here's the thing: not everybody learns from what they do. Not everybody makes a change from what they do. But the fact that this young, and I say young man, I mean, you might think he's young to me, but how old are you?
I'm 40.
40, yeah, he's a young man. How old are you?
I'm 43.
Okay.
And I was going to say this, I'm not young, I know I'm getting older, but I was going to say this, guys, it's how God feels, right? We've had, if everybody that came to this church and asked God to forgive them, if they were all in here right now, we couldn't fit them all in this building. Am I right, Brother Michaels? We couldn't. But there's every now and again, there's some of us that have decided to stick around and show God that we're grateful for what He's done for us. Okay? Brother Lamar is an example in the natural, and the judge is correct. He literally is a picture of what he's been speaking to you guys about. When you walked up those steps, God was in that. Because I didn't expect to see you this evening. You literally walked up, and you two are in a perfect example as to what he's been teaching about. To a T, am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
And so God very rarely gets people to come back and thank Him, even for their car. Thank you for my nice house. People don't ever give God thanks. The reason why you're even alive is because God has allowed you to be alive. The clothes on your back, God has given you that. There's children right now that don't have what you have. They won't get free pizza and drinks. They don't know where their next meal is going to come from. You guys at 11 years old are going to eat free pizza and get drinks and chips and candy and all kinds of stuff. There's kids right now, right here in America, that won't get that, excuse me. Everything we get, everything we have is from God, and we need to give Him thanks. And for the judge here, even though it was a punishment that he gave Brother Lamar, it actually was a blessing. It got him off the street. He was able to go to prison. I believe he got saved in prison. Am I not sure? Am I correct? Okay. He was able to think, though. He had to sit there. He had plenty of time to think. I think almost 6 years. Is that correct?
6 years.
So this brother had plenty of time to sit back and say, you know what? I don't want to be here. This isn't me. This is not who I am. This is not what God would have for me. So by the time he came out of prison, he was saved. God had worked on him. But the judge sent him to jail. Right? And so now he can come back. What year was that, by the way?
That was 2007.
So 2007, this is 2022. 15 years roughly later, he can come back. He can come back and he can thank this man. You know what? Thank you for sending me to prison. Now that sounds like an oxymoron.
Sure.
Right? But you know what, God? Thank you for putting me through that. You were able to get through to my heart and save my soul. So now I can live right. I don't have to go to hell. Now I can go to heaven. We need to learn to give God thanks. That's the whole thing right now. Jesus is still the answer. Like I said, is the theme of this entire week. But you coming up here and him being the one up here, when I texted him last week and asked him if he could come, and he called me on Wednesday night during service, he said, I'd be honored to come. I didn't think you were going to be here. God did that. It's a living illustration of what he's been talking about.
And you know, God kind of put on my heart what to talk about. And then you walked up, and it was just like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff God does. And you know why he does it? Because he loves you guys. He wants you to see this because he loves you guys. And, you know, when Brother Lamar had to go to prison, you know, where was God when that happened? That was God saying, I think this might be the only way I could really get his heart.
For sure.
So it was out of love that God did. Like Brother Bruce said, it seems, you know, the things of God are different than the things the way we think.
Right.
But God was saying, I love him. This is where he needs to be for me to get to him. And I mean, what a great story. What a great story. But he loves all you guys too. He wants you guys, and he wants to spare you of difficulties. You know, he's got to discipline us when we go the wrong way. He disciplines us, but you know, he wants you to make good choices. So, yeah.
Well, anybody got any more questions for Brother Lamar or the judge here? Not often you're going to get to sit here and ask the judge questions up close and personal. Take advantage of this opportunity. I think you're going to look back years from now and realize, man, I've had a pretty golden opportunity to talk to him just in a human situation, not going to court and watching my cousin or brother or sister get sent away, but to actually be able to just talk to him in a really relaxed, laid-back setting. So if you have any other questions, now's the time to ask. You can ask Brother Lamar even about his time in prison and what it was like. If you guys have any questions for him.
Yeah, what was it like?
What was it like in prison? You know, if you ever watch movies about prison, I mean, it's not really like that unless you're going to a real serious type of prison. You talk about the rapes and all that food stuff that they display in the movies. But prison is just the main thing for me. What I took out of that as far as the suffering is concerned is that you're away from your family, you don't have freedom, and it feels like you're never going to get out.
What about your commissary?
Commissary? How do you know about commissary?
I like him. That's my guy right
Man, I
there.
ain't know about some commissary.
I like
I
him.
watch, I watch and I watch like people like actually get like actually get time.
You just gotta have money on your, what they call books. You just gotta have money on your books and your personal. You gotta have money to be able to afford commissary. So if you don't have no money, you don't get any commissary. You're just trying to survive off the what's in the chow hall.
State pay.
Jeffrey, you got a question?
State pay too.
Hey, Lamar. Jeffrey has a question. Jeffrey Cox.
Yes, young man.
But people that's not, that your family members have to put money on your books where you can call them and stuff.
Yeah, anybody can put money on your books that are on your visiting list. I believe that's how it was. If they're on your visiting list, then they can put money, whether it's friends, family members, whoever, they can put money on your books and your name.
And money on books for my uncle who's been out of town.
Oh, look at that. Great. Okay. See you tomorrow, huh? Yes.
What was your feeling then when you first went to jail?
Oh, well, when I first went to jail. Well, what I was really concerned about when I first went to jail was my daughter. My daughter was born October 31st, and I got locked up October 30th, 2006. So she was born the next day after I got locked up. So that was just the main thing for me was I want to see my baby born, and I wasn't able to. So that was
But you're there for it now, aren't
I
you?
am.
know
Oh
you-
man, it's a
yeah.
blessing. It truly is a blessing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What did you eat in prison?
Oh man, you don't want to know.
You know, something
You don't
like
want to be
sandwich,
thankful that you got
right?
Domino's pizza. No, actually, they had this one. I will tell you a story about something that they did have, and you can smell like it's almost like you can smell it from a mile away. It was this turkey It's like they was just trying to dump this old turkey on the inmates. And you can smell it from a mile away, and they're like, oh, they're serving that turkey. But as soon as you get out of the unit, you can smell that turkey.
You saw
And
that?
It was bad.
Oh my God.
I did not. And so that was kind of like, I'm fasting today. You know what I'm saying? Because that turkey was bad. That turkey was bad. Nobody, really, they shouldn't have served that thing. I don't know why they served that. That was just like a bad batch or something like that. But they were trying to dump it on the inmates. So that was pretty bad.
But Lamar, tell them about the stuff they mixed all together.
Oh, you know, the
We
break,
had something we mixed all together
they
too.
call those breaks.
And, no, I'm talking about, this was a punishment type of meal. We had, in prison, we have what called segregation is a name, they change it, but we call it the whole. That's basically lock you down, isolation when you've done something wrong. When we serve something, you get a guy say that, he won't, maybe he throws food out the chute, you know guys what the chute is, right? That little opening in the door, that's where we slide our food into him. Well, you got a guy acted up, he's throwing his food out there. We feed him what we used to call it the loaf. And what the loaf is, you mix all the food that's left over, maybe from lunch today, just mix it all together. That's what they, and that's
See, I didn't experience that.
you tell them they cook it in the shower and say this is dinner.
Yeah.
They know most of them, a lot of them won't eat it, but I mean, that's called a loaf.
You want me to get to them? You had a question?
Yeah, you can ask some questions. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Were you scared?
Yes, I was. You know, actually, when I was in, they got this reception center. It's called CRC, and that's where they send people to see where they're going to their parent institution or their regular prison institution. And so in there, you're like, oh, I gotta get my push-ups up down. And you're like, you don't know where you're going. You don't know where they're gonna send you. So it's like you trying to get all big and everything. But no, that was a memory that I had of me being scared. I don't know where they're gonna send me. They're gonna send me to Louisville. They're gonna send me to 11. They're gonna send me here. But I was fortunate enough to go to a prison actually where I'm from in Dayton, called DCI, Montgomery Pre-Release. That's where I was at. So it ended up working out.
What was it like being in the prison room?
Oh, the room. Oh, man, I got some stories.
Don't you get buffets?
So, no, where I was at, they had a room and they had two a cell. And so I do have a memory of a guy from Cincinnati. Now, I was selling drugs. So I was in, they had a little spot, they call them dope spot. So you're in this dope spot, you got people coming in and coming out. They trying to get drugs. So I'm a changed man. I got saved. Lord saved my life, and I'm a changed man. I don't want to go through that in prison. And so they stopped smoking. They couldn't smoke anymore. At one point in time, they was allowing people to smoke in prison. Not weed or anything, cigarettes, black and mild, things like that. They took that away. And so my bunkie, my cellmate, was trying to sell cigarettes and all that. And so he had people coming in and out. It felt like it was all over again, a dope spot. You know what I mean? People coming in and out. I was like, oh, man. And so I had to put up with that. But that was one experience that I had with my cellmate. But other than that, I mean, people were cool for the most part. They respected me. They respected who I was and what I did. There was some cats from Cincinnati. They were kind of a little wild on the wild side, but I respected them. They respected me.
Have you ever seen a fight, or have you ever been in a fight?
I almost got close. Trying to let the OV trying to come out. It was testing me, but I haven't been in a fight, but I did see somebody in a fight, yeah. So actually, I'm trying to think if actually I was sitting in a room like this, and I was just doing my regular meditation studying. And some guy came in, and he was just standing around doing something. He might have been watching TV. And then another guy came in, and he came up to him, and I heard you tell me I was a snitch. And then he didn't even give him time to get anything out. He just punched him right after that. And these dudes are big. They're like his size. And they tumbling and all this. So I'm not gonna try to break these two big dudes up. You know, they tumbling there. I'm like, let me get out of the way. They were wrestling and all types of stuff. Like, yeah, that was a fight that I remember when I was in prison.
Did you get to do anything outside? Like out the
Yeah, they had They had yard day. Yard day, they had a yard day.
Did you get to play, like, did you get to play basketball?
Yeah, you can play basketball. They had like a little karaoke for the inmates. They had yard day, they had ice cream and serving. Yeah, you can go outside. You can do a rec. I was doing pull-ups a lot. So I did the pull-ups, did the push-ups. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the pull-ups and push-ups. It was cool. Prison was cool, not in the sense that I like being around men, God forbid that. But it was just cool to where, I just had my time to myself. I was giving with God. God was working with me. He was dealing with me. It was cool.
Did you meet there?
I met a lot of people.
Like that he stays in touch with or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still stay in touch with some people. And you'll get that. You'll get like, yeah, we gonna hook up. Yeah, we gonna. And most of the time, they never really hook up with people.
But Lamar, would you say that prison is the place that they should go?
No. Only this. I mean, prison can't save your life because it saves mine. So you don't want to go there unless it's an opportunity to save your life. I know that kind of doesn't make any sense, but it made sense to me. It saved my life. So maybe, like what he was saying, maybe that's exactly what I needed that. So I can't really speak for y'all what y'all need. I hope y'all don't go. I hope God doesn't have to use that to get y'all attention. But he used that to get my attention. He used prison to get my attention. So whatever it takes for God to get y'all attention, he'll do it.
Well, I want to thank both of you because it turned into a tag team thing. Anyway, I just want to thank both of you. The judge for coming. I've known him for a really long time, since I was a kid. Trying to play against him on the basketball court. That didn't go real well for me at first.
Older than you.
I grew up with his younger brothers, and they were good athletes also. But I really appreciate you taking the time to come.
It's my pleasure. This has been a blessing for me.
Yeah. And I appreciate you, Brother Lamar, for coming.
50 or 70.
Yeah, you just actually kind of helped teach the class by accident, right? So I appreciate.
I wasn't expecting it either.
You just walked up the steps, but I really appreciate that. It's not often that you get these real moments.
And it's orchestrated by God.
Right, yeah, it was nothing that we planned. Nobody planned this.
Yeah.
But I'm just appreciative that you could come up here and then they could actually see something that was completely unplanned. You being a former inmate, him being the judge that sentenced you to your sentence. And it just goes to show what God can do. So I hope you guys, I know you guys, or some of you guys aren't as interested, but I hope you can look back on this one day and realize just how big a moment that you just witnessed. I hope you can understand that. I know you won't realize it at 11 years old or 12 or whatever you are, but this was actually a really, it was a really big moment. It won't go down as a big moment in history, but it's something that you don't see very often that just happened. Okay, so I want to thank both of you all for coming. Thank you so much. Brother Michaels, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you guys. All right.
Nice to meet you, young man.
Nice to meet you, man. Jeffrey, nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Man, thanks again.
Thanks, Bruce, man. It's such a blessing, man. Thank you so much,
man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
My
Seriously,
pleasure,
it's a blessing.
How you doing?